From the state that's not afraid to lick the vanilla ice cream off the cone.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Cody.
And this is the Edible Attitude Podcast. What's going on, man?
Not much. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
How's your week been?
It's been solid. It's been solid. No complaints. Just busy.
Yeah?
You know? Yeah, just doing dad stuff.
Doing dad stuff.
Yeah, went on a hike today. That was fun.
Ooh.
This morning.
See anything cool?
Found some skulls.
What the?
I don't know. It's like this, little nature center that our local school district uses, and yeah, so they got this like little teepee kind of built, right?
Yeah.
Made out of sticks, and there's just like a bear skull or something sitting there, and
A
some
bear
jaw
skull.
bones. I don't know what else it could have been. It was huge.
Raccoon?
No,
It was
that's
bigger.
a huge raccoon.
It was bigger than a
Yeah,
raccoon.
it was massive. Yeah, it was a big skull. There's been bears sighted around here.
There has been?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
in
shit.
years past for sure. I think this not too long ago. There was one out by 20 miles away.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't bode well.
There's one in my subdivision when we moved in that year.
There was?
Yeah, mama and two cubs, I'm pretty sure.
What the fuck?
Yeah, man.
I didn't
Oh,
know that.
yeah, dude.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not very often, but they'll be here once in a while.
Huh.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of bears, want to know what movie I saw yesterday?
Cocaine Bear?
Hell yeah.
How was it?
It was amazing.
Was it?
It was so funny.
That's good.
Dude,
I want to see it.
I recommend it to anybody.
Was it on, like, Amazon or something?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
It's
Check
like
it out.
$5 to rent or some shit like that. Worth it.
I don't think my wife... She might... Will she like it?
No.
You know her. No, she
No,
won't like it. Yeah.
She won't. It's definitely a you and you alone thing that you need to watch.
So I need to make a night for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good to know.
for
All right.
sure.
All right. I'll make a night for me and watch this movie.
It's
that good?
it's a hell of an adventure, let me tell you.
All right.
There were some points where me and my wife were like, "What the fuck is happening?"
Good. I like that. That's good.
And coincidentally, it's got a mom and two cubs.
Oh.
Yeah.
perfect. Who would have guessed?
Not me.
Not I.
It just kind of happened. So, this past week, I was looking into some research, and I stumbled across what I thought would be an interesting topic.
Yeah.
And I think you know more about it just because you've talked to me about this, in the past more
Yeah.
than I
maybe.
have.
Yeah.
I haven't really delved into this very much.
I've definitely been interested in the subject before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never done like a deep dive.
Neither have I, but we're gonna.
Okay. Good.
The topic we have this week is gonna be about Nephilim.
Yeah. The Nephilim is Nephilim this week.
Nephilim.
The Nephilim is Nephilim.
The
Is that what I
Nephilim
said?
is Nephilim.
The subject.
The subject is Nephilim.
Yeah. Yeah, the Nephilim or Nephilim.
The Nephilim,
Yeah.
yes.
I guess maybe I have done a little bit of a deep dive.
A little bit.
A touch. Okay.
A lot more than me, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, there's so many theories that can tie into this that I've heard, but I've done more of the mainstream kind of stuff, I guess.
And a lot of this information has come more to light because people have been finding more, digging deeper,
Yeah. Questioning
and
things, yeah.
reading stuff,
Right. Sharing it on the internet.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
That definitely helps.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Nephilim are mysterious beings in the Hebrew Bible who are described as being large and strong. The word Nephilim is loosely translated as giants in most translations of the Hebrew Bible, but left untranslated in others. Some Jewish explanations interpret them as hybrid sons or daughters of fallen angels and also known as demigods in other sources. The main reference to them is in Genesis, but the passage is ambiguous and the identity of the Nephilim is highly disputed. According to the Book of Numbers, a report from 10 of the 12 spies was given of them inhabiting Canaan at the time of the Israelite conquest of Canaan. A similar or identical biblical Hebrew term read as Nephilim by some scholars, or as the word fallen by others, appears in the book of Ezekiel.
Yeah, so that is the interpretation is the fallen or the fell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as far as I know, that's what they're called. Some of that is believed, from what I understand, due to they come from the fallen angels.
Right.
That's how they're tied to. That's just kind of the name they were given. Some people think they are fallen angels themselves in some theories. But those two main ones, yeah, are usually they're from the fallen angels, which is the lead belief.
The Brown Driver Briggs lexicon in 1908 gives the meaning of Nephilim as giants and holds that proposed etymologies of the word are all very precarious. Many suggested interpretations are based on the assumption that the word is a derivative of the Hebrew verbal root fall.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said.
Those who fall, those who fell.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is the Hebrew deciphering of the word. Because they fell in a way.
Yeah.
According to the story. The stories, yeah.
What if they just fell off of like a really high cliff?
That's not what the story said.
It's not, but I'm just guessing. No. Maybe they interpreted it wrong.
It could be. That's been known to happen.
That's bullshit.
You ever play a telephone game?
I have.
Yeah.
The Robert Baker Girdlestone argued in 1871 the word comes from the causative stem, implying that the Nephilim are to be perceived as, quote-unquote, those that cause others to fall down. Ronald Hendel states that it is a passive form, meaning ones who have fallen. So we're getting the same thing over and over again. Fallen ones,
yeah.
People who fell,
right?
Those who fell, whatever. The majority of ancient biblical translations interpret the word to mean as giants, and another book translates it as the violent ones. Yeah, so that's interesting.
I've also heard of the big strong ones, is what it's been deciphered as.
Oh, I didn't know about that. Cool.
Yeah.
Like giants, right?
Yeah. Big and strong. Yeah.
Big and strong.
I think it was Genesis. Somewhere in there it says they were like 10 to 16 feet tall.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were that tall.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's big.
That's
big.
That's like house tall.
Yeah.
A little bit bigger than a house. Maybe a little bit smaller.
There's been findings a lot bigger than that, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Another translation has been interpreted to mean either the fallen ones or the ones falling upon their enemies.
I mean, a lot of fallen.
So it's all coming back.
Right.
It's like the same interpretation for, looks like a lot of these different texts.
Right.
In the Hebrew Bible, there are 3 interconnected passages referencing the Nephilim, and 2 of them come from the 5 books of Moses. The first occurrence is in Genesis 6, verse 1 to 4, immediately before the account of Noah's Ark. It reads as follows. The Nephilim were in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. The same were the mighty men that were of old, the men of renown.
So what's that saying? That's saying that the Nephilim were there before the flood and after the flood.
Right, so they survived it.
Yeah,
Or
the flood was sent to wipe the Nephilim. It was set to cleanse them. Cleanse the earth from the Nephilim and all that stuff.
Right, because they're messing everything up.
Yes. That's why the flood came, right? I came across some fun possible theories as to how they were around after the flood.
Oh?
Yeah, there's
a
few different ones. So there's I'll go from lesser plausible to maybe more plausible along with the story. You know, that might match up with the story of biblical stuff, right?
Okay.
So the first one is of Admiral Byrd. I don't know if you've ever heard of Admiral Byrd.
Admiral Byrd.
Yeah. It's the inner Earth theory. Admiral Byrd, he's in the military. He was doing a mission, I believe, over the North Pole.
Oh.
And found this opening there that he decided to venture into.
And he found Santa.
And he found another land deep within this hole of plants and animals and flowing waters and
In the North Pole.
yeah,
Under the North Pole.
like he flew in a hole in the North Pole.
Oh,
A huge hole. And he flew for 1,700 miles, I guess, in this place.
holy cow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Right. This was all discovered in his secret diaries after he had died.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
It would be.
So, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. It leads to the inner Earth theory, which is a whole nother podcast in itself.
Yeah.
You know, which we could delve into. We're not going to do that on this one. Another one is the Jewish or Judaism story from the Torah, the story of Og. So the story is that he hung onto the side of Noah's boat throughout the whole flood. There's a whole bunch of them, but he was the last one to make it.
Oh.
Right. And it was said that he had a 15-foot long bed. This was after the flood. He lived. They're like, all right, dude, like, you're the last one left. You get to, like, live out your days and die, and then you'll all be gone, basically.
Right.
So they just let him live, I guess, and is kind of what I understood. So yeah, his bed was 15 feet long, which would put him in the 10 to 16 foot range, right?
Holy cow, yeah.
I think he was like the leader of the giants in that area or whatever, too. So he was the strongest, I guess. That's why he probably made it, you know.
Right.
That's probably how that story goes.
I mean, if you're going to hang on to the side of a boat for a long
40 days
time,
and nights.
no shit.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. In the ocean, basically.
He's got to have some upper body
Ooh.
strength, man.
I don't know. Wrapping his legs around the front end of the ship or
Yeah, just holding on to it.
something. The next theory has to do with Noah's Ark itself. There's story out there that leads to one of Noah's sons' wives. Noah's told he could bring his wives, his sons, and his sons' wives.
Right.
Correct, and the animals.
Mm-hmm.
It was believed that one of the sons of Noah's son Ham, his wife, was born of Nephilim bloodline
Oh.
and carried it in her through the flood and everything on the ship.
Was she big too, or did she just have the
No,
blood?
she was normal. She just had the genetic code or whatever in her.
Oh,
right.
okay.
And this story actually kind of carries into more stories. This might be the most plausible one. The other theory is just that the angels banged again and, you know, just made it happen.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one's an easy wrap, but this one is super interesting. So the genetics carry through with the wife. The wife and her husband Ham have babies. She is the mother of Canaan. Have you ever heard of Canaan?
Like the land?
Yeah, the Canaan land comes from Canaan. He ruled that land. It was Canaan's land.
Okay.
The Canaanites were from Canaan.
Okay.
Right.
That would make sense. I heard about the Canaanites,
Yeah.
but I didn't know, I don't know much about them.
It was said in the land of Canaan that there was 6 or 7 different tribes of giants
Holy shit.
in those lands, which would be the offspring of Canaan, essentially, the offspring of the mother, the offspring of the Nephilim.
Right.
Right. So that's how the genetics carried through, and there's giants after the flood.
Which would make a lot of sense, because if the woman's already carrying the DNA and then has, a child, obviously the child has the DNA,
Right.
and so on and so forth.
Another interesting tie to this bloodline, and I know you've heard of this name, is Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh.
He is a descendant of Ham.
So he's like,
He was believed to be a giant and a Nephilim god-type being.
so he'd be like 4th generation Nephilim? Giant? Something like that?
Something like that, yeah. But he had the genetic code popped in him, in Gilgamesh. Yeah,
That's why he was so big.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So-
Nimrod is another name for him. The rebellious one, I believe, is what his name stood for.
Oh.
And that, Nephilim are part of the rebellion against God from the 200 Watcher Angels who wanted to lust with the wives. They're saying that it's part of their war, like they were following Satan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Satan wanted to change the genetic code as part of the war.
So are the Watcher Angels the ones that fell with Lucifer?
Right.
So those are all his bros.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm-
They had a few key characters, like their leader, Semyaza or Semijaha, or there's a lot of pronunciations. He was super concerned that they were going to go through with this act, but all the other 199 angels were going to let him take the fall for it.
Okay.
So he's like, you guys can swear an oath to me that we're all going to do this, or we're not doing this. So they all swore an oath on a mountain. I don't remember the name of the mountain. On a mountaintop. Mount Hermon or
Why
something
is it
like
always
that.
a mountaintop?
I don't know. High up in there. I don't know. It's a place of great, powerful feeling, I guess. You're over the land.
I suppose that would
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah. So yeah, he made them all swear an oath, in which they did, and did it together. Another interesting character of these angels that is sometimes talked about, not always, but kind of had a lot of influence in this story is Azazel. Azazel the scapegoat.
Is this the same Azazel that we're talking about in the Smurfs episode? You know how the cat's name was Azazel?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. That
could
angel
be.
of death?
That might be why he's named after. Well, in the story, Azazel taught mankind evil arts. So he taught man metal crafting and weaponry and shields and those kinds of things.
That would make sense as to why he's the angel of death.
Right. And then taught women how to use contrasting colors on their face in different places, i.e. makeup.
Face paint.
Yes, the art of seduction.
Oh.
The art of war and the art of seduction is what Azazel taught mankind. Is often usually takes all the blame for a lot of it too.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
God damn angel.
We got a little out of hand there, but the theories are they survived inner earth caves. They went into the earth and survived the floods.
Or held onto a boat.
They held onto a boat. That's number 2. Number 3, the genetics carried through on the boat, which has the most kind of lineage storyline to it. And then the angels just came back and made more.
So are people really don't know. They're just grasping at straws of what may or may not have happened. Is there...
Nobody truly knows.
Right. There's nothing written down like this is what happened type thing. Other than what we know through written text from like the Bible and stuff and other...
Well, I think
other
the book of
different
Enoch has a lot of that.
Oh.
I don't know what you know about Enoch.
We'll get into it.
He's part of that bloodline too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where a lot of the Nephilim storyline is the book of Enoch too.
The nature of the Nephilim is, like we just talked about, it's complicated by the ambiguity of Genesis 6:4, which leaves it unclear whether they are actually sons of God, quote unquote, or their offspring, who are they, quote unquote, mighty men of old, men of renown, just like in the verse.
Yeah. That happens a lot in the Bible, unfortunately. They'll like drop a hot take on you, like, hey, we got giants.
And then
cool.
they'll just go.
And then they'll just keep it moving. Like, no, I get all the backstory. I understand all that. I want more of this stuff here. Like, where's the rest of this stuff?
But they'll drop it in later again, like just like a quote or something.
Just a one-liner.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, come on, man. Give me more.
Gotta give me something.
Come on, man. Just feed it to me.
Some people take it to mean that the Nephilim are in fact the offspring. The second occurrence that is in the Bible is in Numbers 13, verse 32 to 33, where 10 of the 12 spies report that they have seen fearsome giants in Canaan. And this is directly from that. And there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who came from the Nephilim. We were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. They're interpreting it as they were small.
Yeah.
Super small compared to them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about finding a grasshopper outside, right?
Yeah.
You can hold it in your hand.
That's a lot bigger than 10 to 16 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's huge. I've heard those stories too, that they were absolutely massive.
Mm-hmm.
10 to 16 feet is absolutely massive, but I've heard stories of like 40 feet, like
60, like
insane.
huge.
Yeah. Feet, like footsteps that are 6 feet in length.
Wouldn't you think we'd find more shit though?
There's
like
been
if they
some
were
stuff
actually that big, there'd be some visual representation nowadays that they were here, other than just, like you said, like footprints, like some sort of.
Well, I don't know. A footprint in stone is very curious to me.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard about the footprint of God? Is what it's named, yeah.
Heard about the hand of God.
So in South Africa, it's called the footprint of the God. It's a 4-foot foot into stone.
Like,
it's a perfect
like
foot.
long?
There's no, yeah, it's like sideways. It's like this. There's a
I
stone
have
face.
seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a perfect foot. Like there's no denying it's a foot.
Looks like someone got mad and kicked it.
If you look at it, have you ever stepped in like wet mud or sand and you step up and like the mud or sand pulls up with your foot?
Yeah.
Right? You can see that in this stone.
On the toes.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
insane.
Yeah.
That thing's 4 foot tall. Scientists say that in order for the foot to be that big, the person would have had to have been at least 27 feet tall.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Could you imagine
Right.
that person playing basketball nowadays?
They'd have to drop it so far to get it in. It'd be hard for them.
Yeah.
They'd have a problem with it. They'd step on everybody. They'd kill them.
Start kicking people.
Yeah, they need a bigger version.
Taking 2 steps and getting past, all the way to the end of the court.
Right, yeah. Just huck it.
Outside the books of Moses, there is one more passage indirectly referencing the Nephilim, and this is in Ezekiel. Of the special significance is Ezekiel 32, verse 27, which contains a phrase of disputed meaning, with the traditional vowels added to the text in the medieval period. The phrase is read as fallen warriors, although some scholars read the phrase as Nephilim warriors or warriors, Nephilim. According to Ronald Hendel, the phrase should be interpreted as warriors, the Nephilim, in a reference to Genesis 6:4. The verse, as understood by Hendel, reads, quote unquote, "They lie with the warriors, the Nephilim of old, who descended to the underworld with their weapons of war. They placed their swords beneath their heads and their shields upon their bones, for the terror of the warriors was upon the land of the living."
In Earth.
In Earth area.
Yeah. If you're enjoying this topic and would like to talk more about it,
you can find us at Edible Attitude or at Edible Attitude Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
A Mr. Brian Doak, on the other hand, proposes to read the term as the Hebrew verb fallen, not a use of the specific term Nephilim, but still according to Doak, a clear reference to the Nephilim tradition as found in Genesis. So we got different interpretations.
There's all sorts of interpretations. There's theories that they're still alive, kicking in them caves right now.
Yeah, I heard about
Working
that.
with the U.S. government.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
Maybe.
Could
be. You never know. World is weird.
Yeah.
So some different interpretations of these Nephilim. One of them is giants. We talked about that.
Yeah, the most common is they're giants.
So most of the contemporary English translations of Genesis and Numbers render the Hebrew Nephilim as giants. This tendency, in turn, stems from the fact that one of the earliest translations of the Hebrew Bible, the Greek Old Testament, compromised in the 3rd or 2nd century BCE, renders the said word as gigantus. The choice made by the Greek translators has been later adopted into the Latin translation, the Vulgate, compiled in the 4th or 5th century CE, which uses the transcription of the Greek term rather than the literal translation of the Hebrew Nephilim. From there, the tradition of the giant progeny of the sons of God and the daughters of men spread to later medieval translations of the Bible. So as the Bible has gone through different stages, so has the word.
Yeah. That is a fact. It's been retranslated many times.
And I'm sure there's a lot that has been lost in translation.
Oh, yeah.
Especially from
Always.
Latin to English, there's a lot of words missing.
Yeah, it's an issue.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely an issue. So, like we said before, the Hebrew Nephilim literally means the fallen ones. And the translation appears in the Greek Old Testament of Ezekiel 32. It seems then that the authors of the Old Testament wished not only to simply translate the foreign term into Greek, but also to employ a term which would be intelligible and meaningful for their Hellenistic audiences.
Interesting.
So they interpreted it for them.
Right. Okay.
So that kind of, again, it's like, what are they missing, you know?
What did they choose to present?
Right.
Right.
Given the complex meaning of the Nephilim, which emerged from the 3 interconnected biblical passages, the Greek translators recognized some similarities. First and foremost, both Nephilim and Gigantus were liminal beings resulting from the union of the opposite orders and as such retained the unclear status between human and divine. Similarly was their moral designation, and the sources witnessed both awe and fascination with which these figures must have been looked upon. Secondly, both were presented as impersonating chaotic qualities and posing some serious danger to gods and humans.
Well, god dang.
They appeared either in early historical context, but in both cases they preceded the ordering of the cosmos. Lastly, both Gigantus and Nephilim were clearly connected with the underworld and were said to have originated from Earth, and they both end up closed therein.
They end up closed?
Mm-hmm.
Closed within the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what Enoch says, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the book of Enoch, they were, quote-unquote, great giants whose height was 300 cubits. A cubit being only 18 inches. This would make them 450 feet tall.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
300
huge.
cubits,
That's nuts.
dude.
Yeah.
You're talking about some guy who's like 20 to or like 40 feet tall playing basketball. Could you imagine 450 feet tall?
It said that the earth shook when they walked.
That's true.
That's bullshit.
It'd be that size, I could see it.
Yeah. People would definitely hear him coming
Right.
or see him.
Yeah. It's in Enoch a lot, the book of Enoch. Enoch was also a human
Yep.
who is in the bloodline of Ham and Canaan. Enoch was the seventh between Adam and Noah, the seventh generation between Adam and Noah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So that like this whole Nephilim thing comes from the Adam bloodline, kind of.
Well, don't we all technically?
Yeah,
According to
of
the
course,
Bible.
right.
According to the Bible.
Right. But it's just such a closer, like,
Right.
what generation are we removed, you know?
Like thousands.
Right. Like, this is like, they probably still got a picture of great-great-great-great-grandpappy Adam somewhere.
450 feet
Right.
tall.
Yeah. So, yeah, Enoch, the seventh generation between Noah and Adam, was chosen by God himself because of his divinity, his holiness, to see.
Is that because 7 is one of the holy numbers?
Could be.
Would that make sense?
Maybe.
We're getting somewhere.
Was chosen by God himself to witness and prophesize the end of the world. And that's what the book of Enoch is about.
Oh.
It is Enoch's visions and prophecies that he's seen through God.
Okay.
The issue with the book of Enoch and why it's not included with the 12 scriptures. Right? It's considered the 13th scripture, but it's not included with the 12 scriptures. Because, quote unquote, legitimate piece of the book of Enoch ever found.
So how do we know it exists?
It
if
was
there's-
found in 1773 by James Bruce in Ethiopia. It's an Ethiopian book. They had it from word of mouth and wrote it down at some point.
so
It was in their history, I guess.
So it's a really old game of telephone for them.
Essentially, but it was written down and found in 1773 by James Bruce. 3 editions he brought back with him, I guess. And that's what... I don't know. Yeah.
What the fuck?
That's why it's not totally trusted. It's not included in the Bible.
Right.
So that's the issue behind it. I mean, the story of Enoch is what it is, and it holds a lot of weight with a lot of people, too.
And like you said, whether it be true or not, we don't frickin' know.
Nah, yeah, I don't have a clue. But it's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a super interesting piece of literature. Enoch was one of 2 people to survive pre-flood.
Pre-flood. So where the hell was he? Was he in the boat too?
No. He was taken by God to the promised land, essentially.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah, him and Elijah. Both.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're the
Alright.
only 2.
Good for them.
Yeah, other than the boat riders.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The boat riders.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the upfront about the Book of Enoch. It's got interesting stuff. It's all end of the world, Nephilim, giants, prophecy,
There's
scary stuff.
There's a lot of end of the world.
It's the stuff I
theories.
wanted from the Bible.
Oh yeah.
The extra tidbits.
That we never got to learn about.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So other than the Book of Enoch, the Quran refers to the people of Ad, whom the prophet Hud declares to be like a reference to the biblical Nephilim. The people of Ad are said to be giants, the tallest among them 100 feet high.
It's big.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Mm-hmm.
However, according to Islamic legend, the Ad were not wiped out by the flood, since some of them had been too tall to be drowned.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just standing there in the ocean.
Yeah. Just,
Nice try, assholes.
just cussing them out.
Just catching fish as they're standing there.
Instead, God destroyed them after they rejected further warnings. After death, they were banished into the lower layers of hell.
Yeah. Yeah. It was Michael was sent to put everybody away.
Yeah, he's the... Was it the Guardian or some shit?
Yeah, he was
an archangel.
he
that's
was
all I
the
know.
second favorite after
Lucifer?
Satan. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was said he was sent to put the 200 watcher angels deep within the earth for 70 generations, I believe.
What generation are we in?
I don't know. Until Judgment Day.
Oh.
And then they'd be sent to fiery endlessness or something like that.
I feel like,
They're getting sent to hell.
wow, they're already locked away, you know?
Yeah. There's sayings that that's when the Nephilim were around, was those 70 generations. And then the flood, I guess. No, that doesn't make sense math-wise to Adam and Noah. Because there's only 10 generations there.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. There's so many different interpretations.
So another interpretation, like we talked about before, are fallen angels.
Yeah.
All early sources refer to the sons of heaven as angels. From the 3rd century BCE onwards, references are found in many historical biblical texts. For example, in the book of Enoch, it states, "And when the angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored with them, saying to each other, 'Come, let us select for ourselves wives from the progeny of men, and let us beget children.'" Some Christian apologists share this opinion.
Yeah, they got horned up for humans
I wonder
and
why.
wanted wives.
Wonder what their purpose was. You know, like why?
They found them so beautiful.
Compared to God's creations? I mean, technically we are.
Well, compared to some interpretations of angels,
I guess.
there's some scary shits.
I've seen some scary
Yeah.
shits. Like
Yeah.
that one with the eye and the wings. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, that one is weird.
Like hundreds of eyes and wings and
How would that work?
I don't know.
I don't know how that would
Divine beings. Don't get it.
work. Just touch them.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, they lusted after the humans and vowed with each other to take their wives together. And then made babies.
And then made
And
babies.
then made Nephilim.
Gigantus.
And then Nephilim supposedly had more coitus with humans too, right? Maybe. If there was human-sized ones. Because let's think, if there's two giant Nephilim banged and had a baby, they'd probably have a giant Nephilim baby.
Yeah, that's how genealogy works, I think.
Typically, right? Although they are half human.
Right.
So if the
it could be
human
either
gene
or.
dominates, I guess, yeah.
Like a recessive gene.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. I just figured that meant they also had intercourse with humans.
I'm sure it happened.
Yeah. People like doing weird things,
Yeah.
experimenting.
I mean, if the Nephilim still have people...
We were just little scientists, dude.
Yeah, I just want to figure shit
Little
out.
experiments.
Had to figure it out somehow.
Yeah, man. I mean, it could only help us
How
to
so?
bang stronger beings.
Oh, to make stronger beings.
Stronger us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh no, all powerful, you want to have a baby with me? I'm guessing that's how that went.
I mean,
They probably didn't have to seduce him too hard.
I guess it really depends on the person.
I guess that's true, yeah.
We're all different in some way, shape, or form.
People were more savage back then, though, weren't they? That's what they say.
There's a lot of war going on, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of death.
Yeah.
I mean, today, too. The earliest statement in a secondary commentary explicitly interpreting this to mean that angelic beings mated with humans can be traced to the Western interpretation of the Torah, and It has since become especially commonplace in modern Christian commentaries. This line of interpretation finds additional support in the text of Genesis, which places the sons of God, male gender, divine in nature, with the daughters of men, female gender, human in nature. From this, it could be concluded that the sons of God are understood as some superhuman beings. Which, again,
Makes sense,
would
yeah.
make sense.
Uh-huh. Yeah, of course.
The New American Bible Commentary draws a parallel to the book of Jude and the statements set forth in Genesis, suggesting that the book refers wholeheartedly to the paternity of Nephilim as heavenly beings who came to earth and had intercourse with women. The footnotes of the Jerusalem Bible suggest that the biblical author intended the Nephilim to be a quote-unquote story of a superhuman race.
Interesting. So I got a fun little fact about Jude. He believed in the book of Enoch, it's believed. Jude 1:14, there's a statement where he talks about Enoch, talking about his prophecies and that stuff. It's something like, it is said from Enoch that the prophecies will be as they are, or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah. He's like trying to say, like, hey guys, Enoch was shown by God. Like why
he's
we
right.
need to listen to him. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. He's trying to put more evidence into Enoch's teachings or words.
Something. But again, it's one of those one-liners.
Always got the one-liners.
Yeah.
Some Christian commentators have argued against this view, citing Jesus' statement that angels do not marry. Others believe that Jesus was only referring to angels in heaven.
Yeah, the fallen, yeah. I mean, if they're waging war against God, why would they not do the opposite of what he wants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to have that whole rebellion thing
Yeah.
going on.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if they're doing everything opposite, I would imagine.
Right.
Right.
Why wouldn't you?
But the question about that is they were here, right?
Yeah.
It was said that Satan walked the land as a lion in search of prey.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Are they just talking
Well, yeah, I don't think that.
hypothetically?
Yeah, I don't think that's like he was a legitimate lion. You know, I think that was just like he's out walking the land of Earth, preying on things. There's some belief that
Wow.
there's a lot of talk about, you know, the scriptures in this way that it's not still occurring on Earth today, and explains a lot of our misfortunes in this world.
Okay. That would.
It's still the devil's playground, essentially, is the theory.
Yeah, because if we're going from, let's say, the Ten Commandments, right?
Mm-hmm.
90% of people do not give a fuck,
Yeah.
and they're doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
So that would 100% make sense.
Right. That he's still...
Right.
Which is what a lot of people believe, that Satan still tries to influence everyday things, you know? That's the common belief amongst many Christians and
Well, that's kind of
beliefs.
what I was taught in school.
Fight the devil, baby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fight for the white light.
The white light,
Yeah.
white lightning.
That's what it always looked like. It was always like a white light. It was up to God, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when he was a bird or whatever.
Yeah, dove.
Dove. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It was a
Appreciate
bird.
Dove, yeah.
Evidence cited in favor of the fallen angels' interpretation includes the fact that the phrase "the sons of God" is used twice outside of Genesis. So it's
Only
not
twice.
just in Genesis.
Right.
Have you heard of the Book of Jubilees?
Jubilees?
Jubilees.
Jubilees, yes.
Okay. So the story of the Nephilim is further elaborated in the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees. The Greek, Aramaic, and Mangaz manuscripts were obtained in the 19th century and held in the British Museum and the Vatican Library, connecting the origin of the Nephilim with the fallen angels, and in particular with the Watchers. Like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Samyaza,
Samyaza, the leader.
the leader, yep. An angel of high rank is described as leading a rebel sect of angels in a descent to earth to have intercourse with human females. So within the book of Enoch, this is a quote. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied in those days, were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters, and the angels, the children of the heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. And Semeiaza, who was their leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall have to pay the penalty of a great sin. And they all answered him and said, Let us swear an oath, and all bind ourselves by mutual oath, not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. Then sware they all together, and bound themselves by mutual oaths upon it. And they were in all 200, who descended in the days of Jared, on the summit of Mount Hermon, and they called it Mount Hermon, because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual oaths upon it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you were
That's what I
saying
said.
before.
Yeah. I'm surprised they got the mountain right, too.
Yeah, it was a mount.
Yeah, No, it was Mount Hermon. He was afraid that they weren't going to oath. They oathed on the mountain and took them some wives.
Otherwise, he would have been
giggity.
he would have been
the
held
one paying the
accountable.
price,
Yeah. So good thought process for him.
Yeah, he's like, if one's going, we're all going.
Go
Yeah,
big or go
don't
home.
back out now.
Yeah.
Don't party and not pay the price.
Yeah.
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 I'm not footing the bill for everybody.
I mean,
screw you guys.
As a leader, you gotta bound everyone together and
Right,
be
you
like,
got to
"Look,
unite everybody,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
like we're doing this together, man."
All for one and one for all.
Especially if we're rebelling against, God,
Yeah. that big guy up there.
that guy.
Yeah.
In this tradition, the children of the Nephilim are called Eliad, who are considered a separate race from the Nephilim, but they share the fate of the Nephilim. Some believe the fallen angels who spawned the Nephilim were cast into Tartarus, a place of total darkness. An interpretation is that God granted 10% of the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim to remain after the flood as demons to try to lead the human race astray until final judgment.
They were little naughties.
In addition to Enoch, the Book of Jubilees also states that ridding the earth of these Nephilim was one of God's purposes for flooding the earth in Noah's time. These works describe the Nephilim as being evil giants.
Yeah.
So they're good and bad?
Yeah, there's stories of both, but a lot more evil than anything.
I would think so.
They were born out of sin, is the thought, right?
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, because rebellion and all
Yeah.
that.
They
Yeah.
were born out of rebellion, yeah.
Okay.
They were the rebellious ones.
I know we are repeating ourselves quite a bit, but
We're connecting dots kind of in the story.
that too.
Yeah.
so I mean
We're trying.
you've been right about a lot of shit so far.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of mine are YouTube rabbit hole, late at night listens.
3 a.m. conversations.
3 a.m. conversations, yeah. Yeah, just bored and find interesting stuff that I find interesting. Like I said, I wanted more of this stuff from the Bible, and then I find the Book of Enoch is more of that stuff I wanted.
The more in-depth interpretations than what we're just given base.
Right. More than just Jesus' story,
Right.
essentially.
Because that's what a lot of people know. They don't know a lot about the Old Testament and,
Right.
What happened,
What led up to everything.
Right.
They get a brief rundown of, he didn't like the first job he did, so he flooded it and started over, essentially, is how I got told.
Well, it was like, hey, God made the world in this many days. Adam and Eve happened. Flood, Moses, boop, Jesus.
Right. Yeah. It was like, he wasn't fond of that, so he just flooded it and started over with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, Moses and everything else, like you said.
Well, I always heard it like he rid the world of evil, right?
Right.
That's what the flood was. But they never described
Right.
what the evil was.
Right. Exactly.
They
That's
just
what
said
I wanted
evil,
to know.
like
Yeah.
base evil.
Right. What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be a bunch of stuff. Like you said, different interpretations.
Correct. So then I found out about the Book of Enoch and realized that it held that information that I was curious about, the evil, the bad, right?
Right.
So yeah, just kind of delved into what it was, and it's fascinating stuff to me.
The whole Bible is fascinating.
Yeah,
just to
it's
read
incredible. Yeah, it's an incredible. It's a tough read.
It's a good story,
You have
though.
to be diligent and do the work to get through it.
Yeah.
But it is interesting.
A lot of the words are real hard to understand.
Sometimes it depends on the version you get.
But even if you're changing versions, you're still losing that translation.
Yeah, to an extent, but it's still got great stories, if nothing else.
Right.
It has incredible stories within this magnificent book.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's just it's an incredible series of literature for me. I find it the Bible and how many different directions it actually goes outside of what we were presented as children is what's interested me so much about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't really, delve into the Book of Enoch because I didn't know much about it.
Right. I haven't done a ton either. It's just been YouTube stuff, I haven't read it myself or anything.
Well, I'm glad you did more than me. That's for sure.
I'm just interested in it. I don't know,
You gotta get down to the truth.
Yeah, I'm just curious, man.
How'd you like this one so far?
This has been a blast.
I learned a lot more than I thought I would. That's for sure.
I hope you enjoyed delving into the subject.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gives a little more insight as to, some different translations from different biblical texts, and whether they may or may not be true.
Right. Right. Points of views on the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun to connect dots in different places. And
yeah. So I think there's a lot of information here.
There's a
to
ton.
be fair.
A ton.
So we're going to cut it in half, make it two-parter.
I love it.
Thanks for coming, everybody. We appreciate it.
We love you so much. And as always, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. We'll see you in part 2.
I'm Cody.
And I'm Tyler.
And this is the Edible Attitude Podcast.